Hi, I'm John, and welcome to another Product Spotlight. We're doing something a little different today. I have 4 different SD40T-2 locomotives from ScaleTrains, and we're going to look at one of these in detail, and I'm going to use the others to sort of point out some of the differences between the models. And then next week, we'll look at another one in detail, and then the following week and so forth and so on. So anyway, like I said, these come from ScaleTrains. They're from the Rivet counter series. At the time of this recording, the DCC Ready version is listed on ScaleTrains' website for $199.99, and the DCC and Sound Equipped version, which all 4 of these are listed for $299.99. According to the ScaleTrains website, the minimum radius curve that these locomotives can handle is 18 inches, with a recommended minimum radius of 22 inches. Also, according to the website, the correct era for all 4 of these models would be between 2000 to about 2005. They're offering a ton of different SD40T-2s or tunnel motors on the website, so your best bet is to go to the website and find out if they have what you're looking for. So for this first episode, we're going to look at number 8625. And this model has really well done paint. It has photo etched details everywhere you look. The grills here are photo etched. They're see-through. If you look back here, you can see that's see-through all the way to the other side. Also, the grill up here appears to be photo etched, as does this. And there's all kinds of detail in the truck back here, which is different from the other models. This has a whole bunch of different cables, and I don't know what these are, speed recorders perhaps, but there's all kinds of extra stuff going on in the truck there, on the front truck, and there's a spare knuckle attached up here. This is really detailed. I mean, this is the kind of thing where before, if you were talking about, say, a blue box model or something like that, the modeler would have to add all of these things manually, and it would take hours and hours and hours, maybe even weeks to get it all done. I'm tilting it up so that you can see there's all kinds of detail under the sill as well. And also from this angle, you can see that the wheels are painted a rust color from the factory, so you don't have to do that either. So yeah, this model has a ton of detail to look at. And here's what I'm talking about. This is a picture of the rear engineer side truck on the 8715. While you're looking at this, you'll also notice that there's a little warning label over the truck that's not present on the one we're looking at, the 8625. And on the 8625, you'll notice there's a little warning label on one of the steps on this rear stairwell. That's not present on the 8715. So yeah, there are some very road number specific details on these models. Looking at the cab area of the 8625, you'll notice that it has the sunshade and wind deflectors and all of the stuff you would normally have to add to an undetailed model. You'll also notice that it has separately applied, very finely rendered windshield wipers on the windows, and all of the grabs and everything that's detail on the nose or hood, the low hood here, is all separately applied as well. Now, something to notice, and I put the 8715 here in the picture on purpose because I wanted to point out some of the differences. Again, road number specific differences that they've gone through a lot of trouble to capture. Notice the difference here. All we have on the 8625 are some antenna details. On the 8715, we have what I think is an air conditioning unit, and then it has one of these planar antennas over here. So it really stands out, doesn't it? Something else that stands out to me is on the 8715, the horn placement is up here near the cab, and you can't see it because it's off camera right now, but the horn placement on the 8625 is way back behind the dynamic brake fans. So again, number specific details. Also, look at these grabs and this patch on the 8625. the grabs and patch on the 8715 are different. This has plated over classification lights and a removed light up here. Look at this. Plated over, no class lights. Boy, I mean, it's just a lot of different things. Even the ditch lights are different. Here we have tall ditch lights. Here we have what I'm going to call regular ditch lights. Yeah, there's a lot of differences in these models. These models also come with fully detailed interiors with movable windows. Something else these models have are see-through photo-etched steps. And then you can see it has uncoupling lever detail as well as separately applied snowplow, grabs on the snowplow. Looking at the fireman's side in the front, once again, plenty of differences to be seen. We have a brake ratchet here. We have a brake wheel here. We have different details in the front truck. You'll notice this one has what looks like, again, a speed recorder, really 3. These must not be speed recorders. I don't know any reason why they would have that many. But the point is, this one doesn't have all those. And it even has a different color here. It's white here. Now you have different decorations, right? UP shield. There's even a yellow door handle on this one. Everything about it screams road number specific detail. I mentioned before about the horn placement on this model. It's back here, whereas on the 8715, it's up over the cab. Another road specific detail on this model is it has the toolbox, but it has this additional storage container here, which I don't know what that is, but it doesn't appear to be present on the other models. This little piece on this stanchion is on this model, but not on the other models. And then you can see all the detail otherwise. Again, we have chain detail. There's all kinds of conduits and cabling and stuff underneath. There's all kinds of detail around the air reservoir and lots of detail on this rear truck, which again looks different from the other models. Very impressive, the amount of detail on the models, let alone road number specific detail. Here's a look at the rear of the model, and you can see it has the separately applied wire grabs all around the back. The separately applied handrails have a paint treatment that's different, where it's white and then gray, and then on the other side it's white again. There's the UP patch here, and it looks like some plated over classification lights back here. And there's a lot to look at. Not to mention down here along the pilot, we have hose detail. There's spare knuckle holders. And from this angle, you can see it has additional train line air hose details. Now looking at the detail on the roof, all of the grills up here are separately applied photo etched pieces. The horn, of course, is a separately applied part. And the fans look especially good here. Dynamic brake fans have see-through photo-etched grills with what appears to be metal fan details underneath in there. That looks really good. And then, as I mentioned before, on this particular model, we have the horn placement back here behind the dynamic brake fans, and then just some antennas up here on the cab, which was in contrast to the 8715 that had the horn placement up near the cab with an air conditioner, planar antenna, and then the rest of the detail on the back looks pretty close. Something else I'm noticing on this model is that it has really fine lift ring detail. Okay, now we're going to run the model. This is testing the slow speed capability, and boy, does this thing crawl. I have it set on 1, and it's barely moving. All right. Now I'm going to turn the sound off, and we're going to run it without the sound so we can get an idea of what the mechanism sounds like. When you turn the sound off, for some reason, there's still random little sounds that happen like that. Not sure how to make those go away. I've hit F8, which is mute. But in between the little air releases, you can hear that it's a very quiet mechanism. Very smooth runner, too. Okay, now we'll take a look at the lights on the model. The headlight is activated with F0, and it's directional. This is another road number specific detail. The headlight is placed over the cab on this model. In the other ones that we're going to be looking at in the coming weeks, you'll notice that the lights are on the nose. Anyway, let's take a look at the ditch lights. That's F6. And then when you turn the sound on, some other stuff happens. And I'm talking about the number boards come on. And if you look down in here, you can see there's a little walkway light. And it looks like it's flashing on the camera, but it's not actually flashing in real life. That's an effect of the digital camera and the frequency with which the LED cycles. It's kind of a technical thing I'm not going to get into. I do want to mention that F14 will turn the number boards on and off when the sound is activated. Something else worth mentioning is that these models come with capacitor circuits installed at the factory to help negotiate dirty track and that kind of thing. So if you have your lights and sound on and you take the model off the track, most likely it's going to continue making sound and having the lights on. Anyway, let's look at the rear headlight by putting the engine in reverse. And there it is, lit up. And when I activate the sound, you'll notice there's a light along the walkway right here. It looks like it's flashing. Again, it's not flashing in real life. It's just a little bit dimmer than the headlights. So once again, ScaleTrains has released a super detailed model, and something that I find really impressive about this is that it's not just prototype specific details that they've included here, but road number specific details that they've included here. And I think there's a level of research that goes into this kind of release that a lot of people just aren't doing these days. I think it's pretty cool also that they're providing something to modelers who maybe can't super detail something that specific due to physical limitations, or maybe they're just not that good at super detailing. And it's easy to sort of write them off and say, oh, well, they can practice and get better at it. But a lot of people have physical limitations that don't allow them to do this level of super detailing and super specific detailing. So part 1 of this 4-part series is in the books, and we're going to look at the next one on the next episode next week. I'll see you then.